What is going on, everybody? AHS Rules back again with another video and another wrestling fantasy booking, back-to-back videos, wrestling fantasy bookings of the biggest cards of the summer. If you don't know what I'm talking about, my last video was a how I would book AEW All In and All Out 2023. And if you're reading the title of this, you would realize that this is how I would book SummerSlam 2023. Now, I will be a little bit honest with you. I did not know what to do for this event. Because, I don't know. I feel that in WWE right now, there's a lot of feuds and rivalries that are just in a standstill where it's just there just to get to SummerSlam, which is still a month away. Or there's just big names not involved in anything yet, so that's where I come into play. And I will admit, I normally do these the Monday, way before Raw. That way, if something gets set up on Raw, I had my own idea out there. But I'm not going to lie to you. I waited until after Raw to see how everything goes. And only three, but one of them I was going to do regardless. Like 3 matches were actually set up or teased. So I'm going to get right into this event. I have 10 matches booked. This is one thing that I will say before I get into this. Something that I like that WWE has started to do lately for the SmackDown brand, but I can't say the same for Raw, is that the SmackDown prior to premium live events, because most premium live events have been on Saturdays recently, but the SmackDown prior to the premium live events, they have big matches take place. So, for example, before Money in the Bank, they had the women's title match between Asuka and Charlotte, and a tag team title match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Pretty Deadly. So it kind of helps out with not having, like, if a big name, like, for example, with this, I don't have the women's tag team titles involved on here. I also don't have Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler, a match that's most likely going to happen, but I just felt that the matches I did were a lot better and bigger deals. But essentially, I was making note of this because I was saying how well SmackDown does it. Hopefully, Raw can start doing it. The Raw, after premium live events, you have bigger time matches take place. So, jumping right into it, the first match is a match that I suggested at Night of Champions and is rumored to happen this time around. So, I'm not going to say I made this idea, I put it out there, but hopefully it just comes true. That way I don't look like an idiot. A bull rope match, the tiebreaker match between Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar. We saw Brock Lesnar return on Raw, go after Cody Rhodes. Hopefully, they can finish it all at SummerSlam. And if it's not a bull rope match, we need some type of big stipulation for these two men to end it all. And I suggested a bull rope match in the Night of Champions fantasy booking because just keep them connected together. That way they can't get away from each other, and it can end up a massive brawl. Next, another match, like I said, was teased, and I wouldn't have done it personally, but I think it'll be exciting and make sense. Logan Paul versus Ricochet. I say it every time I mention Logan Paul. In ring, I'll give him this credit, but I'm not a big Logan Paul fan in general. But I will admit, he has not won a match in a minute, and this is probably a matchup that he will end up winning. Next, this one might be a bit controversial because everybody's expecting this to be somewhat different, but I did it differently. Bianca Belair versus Charlotte Flair. Now, I know they're linked to the women's title with Asuka. Don't worry, I have Asuka in a match later. But this is a match that's big enough that it does not need the championship. The hatred or beef is there, and I've been wanting to see this matchup for the longest time because Bianca Belair needs to beat Charlotte Flair. That way she can be the first woman to beat all 4 horsewomen. It's something that's not going to be mentioned by WWE, obviously, because one of the horsewomen is not there anymore. And Alexa Bliss was close to doing this, but she never beat Charlotte. So I feel that this is a big time matchup. Probably the 2 most most athletic women on the roster. You can debate that. I would say so. Probably the 2. I don't want to say top names in the women's division of WWE, but again, that's just another debate. But I just feel that this is a big-time match that does not need the women's championship involved. And I've been wanting to see it for a long time. Next, for the United States Championship, Austin Theory versus L.A. Knight. A lot of people were upset that LA Knight did not win the Money in the Bank. I'm not going to say like I'm pulling my hair out upset. I will say I did not want Damian Priest to end up with the briefcase because I don't see him successfully cashing in the briefcase. And in my how I would book Money in the Bank thing, I was just preaching like whoever wins the briefcase needs to have a successful cash in and just it be a big deal. And I don't see that happen with Damian Priest. LA Knight, I could. So it's not the end all be all. But speaking of the Money in the Bank briefcase and how much of it sucks, is mainly because, I'm not going to say mainly because of Austin Theory, but the last male to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase cashed in on the U.S. title and lost and kind of made the whole thing look like a big failure. So LA Knight not winning the matchup is somewhat of a failure. It's not as big a failure as the Theory thing, as I mentioned, but Theory and LA Knight have a similarity in that they failed to capture the Money in the Bank briefcase essence. I'm really struggling with what I'm saying there, but I feel it's a big time matchup for LA Knight. He can't get the Money in the Bank briefcase. Maybe he can get the United States Championship. And Austin Theory is not like he has had a good reign and he's had good matches with the championship. It's just there. It's not like must see every like when Gunther defends his Intercontinental Championship, you seek out of your way to see that. Theory, not so much. And I feel that if LA Knight got a chance with the United States Championships, he's not getting a chance with the Money in the Bank briefcase, maybe it'll be a big deal. Who knows? Speaking of the Intercontinental Championship, Gunther versus Drew McIntyre. Now I will say I'm excited for this match. It will be a great match. I'm just slightly upset because I've again said it over and over again. I want Gunther to be the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. And I feel Drew McIntyre does not need to lose this match because this is his first big match after being out a while. I think he would have a great Intercontinental title reign, but we're so close. He needs to hold the title to, like, I believe the middle of September. So, obviously, this has been teased twice at Money in the Bank and on Raw. I just hope Gunther breaks the record, and it does not hurt Drew McIntyre's status. Next, this is an interesting one. This is a shot in the dark that I feel won't happen, but I would love it. For the Undisputed Tag Team titles, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the team of Edge and Rey Mysterio. Now, last time I talked about Edge, I was suggesting he win the Money in the Bank briefcase. He was not even involved in it. Now, this Friday on SmackDown, he's returning. And when I look at the SmackDown roster, I have no clue who he's going to face because he could face AJ Styles. Like, set up a match for SummerSlam against AJ Styles, a guy he's already faced, and it's just kind of like, we've already seen this. I guess Sheamus is would be an intriguing matchup, but storyline-wise, I don't know how you'd get there. But again, Edge has mentioned that he wants to hold championships. He already challenged for the U.S. title this year and lost. He lost the #1 contendership for the World Heavyweight Championship, and the Undisputed Universal title is tied up in a situation right now. So, him and Rey Mysterio reuniting a one-time WWE Tag Team Champions. They had a very short reign. Rey Mysterio is another man who's not, it's been a minute since he's been on a premium live event in a match because Money in the Bank, Night of Champions, and Backlash, he did not have matches, but he was like, that Backlash, he was there involved in the Bad Bunny match. And obviously, WrestleMania, he competed. But I want to see Rey Mysterio back in a big-time match. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, I feel this would be a gigantic test for them, considering the tag teams they have faced have not been at the legendary statures of Edge and Rey Mysterio. Also, in the weeks leading up to this matchup, we can get an Edge versus Kevin Owens and a Sami Zayn versus Rey Mysterio spin-off match. Even though Owens and Zayn are Raw drafted, I feel I see them on SmackDown a lot more than they do Raw. That's just me. And obviously Edge and Rey are SmackDown drafted. So I would like this. The tag team division right now, again, is weird because it's the Undisputed Tag Team titles. Owens and Zayn show up on both brands. So I just, like I said, I don't expect this to happen. If it did, I would love it. And it's just like, I have no clue what the hell Edge is going to do at SummerSlam, but I will enjoy it because it is Edge. Next, for the World Women's title, Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus. Now, I half-assed watch Raw. So Rhea Ripley, I know, had a match with Natalya. And then by the time I was tuned in and watching, she was like, Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan came out there. But like everything that I like went back, I didn't see that. So maybe I just missed something. Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus are more than likely going to have a rematch. But I feel that I did a triple threat, A, to get all three on the card. Because Rhea Ripley, again, has not defended her women's... Okay, alright. She didn't defend the title at Money in the Bank. I forgot she defended it at Night of Champions because the match with Natalya was so short. And then she defended it at Backlash, obviously. And I want this Women's World title to be a big deal. And she's going to get the two biggest names on Raw that is not herself. And like I said, Trish and Becky... It can extend the feud, maybe. I have no clue when the hell it's going to end. I imagine this might end at SummerSlam, but in this suggestion, it would have to go on longer because Rhea's winning. Trish and Becky, nothing happens. I mainly booked this match just to get all three on the card, and Rhea would get a big-time win over two big-time names, and also she could pin Trish or beat Trish in the Becky-Rhea match. When it happens down the line, Becky can say she didn't beat her, so it still makes sense. So... just to get all three names on the card. That's why I made this a triple threat match. And there's another reason I didn't make the Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Asuka triple threat match that a lot of people were suggesting. So, who do I have Asuka facing? The Women's Money in the Bank briefcase holder, Io Sky. The thing that would suck about this is that either Io loses, and I'm disappointed in the women's cash-in, or Asuka has a short title reign. This was a lose-lose, but this is a big-time matchup. I want to keep mentioning it over and over again, but I feel that Io Sky can cash in on Asuka straight up, have a great match, win the title, leads to her versus Bayley, the breakup of Damage Control that I've been saying for quite a while, but it still has not happened. But I feel also in the SmackDown Women's division, it's Asuka, Charlotte, and Bianca, which I mentioned Charlotte, Bianca, does not need the women's title. Then is Asuka versus a bunch of people that aren't at her level, obviously, but Io Sky definitely is. So this is a big-time matchup, but guess what? I'm not going to pick who wins because I already went over the debacle with that. Next, for the World Heavyweight Championship inside a steel cage, Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. Like I just said with the Women's Championship, Asuka's very much at a different level than a lot of them, and the people that she's closest to are linked in with something else. So same thing goes with Seth, but I have Seth facing Finn Balor again. Now this match just happened at Money in the Bank. There's a distraction with Damian Priest being involved because he's the Mr. Money in the Bank, so he has intentions and reason to be involved with this. The reason I have the steel cage involved is just like every time Judgment Day is involved with something with Seth Rollins, other people are involved. So it adds a stipulation, it adds an extra element to this rematch to happen, and Damian Priest could still get in the way, hypothetically, and it leads to the breakup of Judgment Day. Which I don't think Judgment Day is going to like fully break up, but either Finn or Damian Priest are no longer to be in Judgment Day soon. That's just a somewhat of a prediction, but like I said, the world title, heavyweight title scene, the guys that are closest to Seth's level are already involved in something else, and the way that the match ended at Money in the Bank, and just the way that your Judgment Day been treating with Seth is just like, it's still unfinished business. And maybe they could do Seth and Damian Priest, but I'd rather see this matchup that I suggested. Now we get to the last matchup for the Undisputed Universal title. Fatal 4-Way. You're like, what? Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa versus Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso. Everybody is pushing for Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. And everybody's pushing for Jey Uso to win. I don't see that happening. And the reason I suggest the Fatal 4-Way is we have not seen Roman defend these two championships. Or, I kept forgetting that they unified it because they still come out with the two titles. Anyways, Jey pinned Roman. So, Jey Uso and Roman Reigns are definitely going to clash again because Roman's not going to let that slide. Solo Sikoa is kind of stuck in the middle between Roman and the Usos, obviously. But his name is Solo Sikoa. I think he's going to go out on his own. And he's going to go against both Roman and the Usos. And we saw this divide with Jey and Jimmy happen where when they turned on the Bloodline and kicked it, like, Jey has somewhat of animosity towards Jimmy. Now, a saying that I always follow and I always say, behind every joke is a little bit of truth. So when he's joking about everything that like Jimmy accomplished in their life, and like it was like truth, and like obviously ended up being a big joke because they used it to turn on Roman, but all that was the truth. So the reason I'm suggesting a Fatal 4-Way, A, Roman needs to make up for lost time because he's not defending the title at the last 3 Premium Live events. And I do not expect to see Roman at Payback and Fastlane to defend the championships. He probably is not the defendant at Survivor Series, even though it's in November. That's way down the line. So he needs to have a massive match because he's, again, everybody's pushing for this Jey Uso match. I expect Roman to retain regardless. So beat 3 men in the process. Also, this Fatal 4-Way match is most likely going to happen at some point. So you might as well do it at the second biggest show of the year. Maybe thanks Royal Rumble is a bigger show. I always think SummerSlam's the second biggest show of the year. So yeah, these are the 10 matches I suggest take place at SummerSlam this year. Like I said, it's not the most creative and original, but it's the ones that are most likely to happen, which when I do these videos, that's never really the case. So yeah, just did back-to-back videos booking the biggest wrestling events of the summer. My next video will most likely be NBA related, so I'll just tell you that now. So I'm trying to rush this up because I am hot as hell. It's also the 4th of July, so happy Independence Day to all of you. Thank you for watching this video. Please stay safe, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.